everybody, and welcome back to another Rock Reviews, where today we are in something pretty damn special. This particular car is a 1994 BMW E36 M3, and without a doubt, one of the rarest M3s I think I've ever seen. I haven't seen one of these things, and when the owner told me here in Melbourne that he's got one, I had to just come and have a look. So today we're going to be driving this car, we're going to be checking it out, we're going to be reviewing it, and seeing what an E36 M3 really is all about here. And you know what? For 1994, naturally aspirated, 3-liter 6 up front, it does well. This thing weighs just under 1.5 tons, and you can really feel that BMW and this M3, they were really going after that kind of track-focused buyer here. And in the early 90s, not many manufacturers were doing that. So they were really ahead of the curve, especially with the big three Germans. So Audi was only just coming out in the same model year here with their RS2, but again, that was a wagon and it wasn't really track orientated. And then even again with Mercedes, maybe the 190E was something sort of similar, but again, just rarity, price, this thing had it. Now these E36 M3s, they came out in 1994. This particular one is a 94, and they ran through up until about 1999. And these things, they only made worldwide about 45,000 of these things. And man, again, I have not seen one of these things in the flesh. We got the big wing in the back, it's the coupe. And when you're sitting in this E36, it really does feel driver focused. So, you've got the kind of instrument panel down the center here, tailored to the driver a little bit more. You've got this kind of suede steering wheel here. Even the seats, they are very kind of buckety. They've got some suede on the side, some cloth in the middle. They bolster you pretty well, even down to the gear shifter down here. Again, it's got that suede material. Now, I have told from the owner it's not Alcantara in this particular M3. For whatever reason, they were using suede back then, and I guess eventually they graduated to the Alcantara. Now under the bonnet here, guys, this E36 M3 was the first M3 to get a straight 6, and it had the S50. So it's naturally aspirated 3-liter, and it pushes about 210 kilowatts, about 320 Newton meters, dual overhead cam with variable valve timing. And unfortunately over in the US, they did receive these M3s, but they didn't get the VVT. And they didn't get the power either. I think they were shy of about 40 or 50 horsepower to what this is actually running. So America did get shafted a bit when this came out, and they actually got an automatic variant also, which over here in Australia and I think in Europe, you were only able to get these things in the 5-speed, and then later models, just before they switched to the newer variant, you could have got a 6-speed. Now as for price here, guys, look, brand new here in Australia, this thing, of course, being a M3, was going to cost you a bit of money. And a bit of money is probably a stretch, because this is going to cost you about a house, 125 grand worth. And back in 1994, you could buy a nice house for that. So it was not cheap to get in this thing. And on the used market now, it really does depend on case and condition, but here in Australia, you're probably looking between 35 on the low end and about 70 grand on the higher end. So there really is quite a bit of fluctuation here. And just coming around some of these corners, you can really feel the handling of this car. And the brakes actually still seem to work pretty good. You got a bit of confidence in them. And the steering feel is really nice, balanced. These have 17-inch alloy wheels, and for track, these are the optimal size. So again, back in the early 90s, no one was really putting out 17-inch wheels. Those were quite big for the 90s, and I'm told on track that is really the optimal size if you're going to do some, you know, racing. You want to have quick times here. And this, I would actually say, was probably competing with the 911 of this era, because, you know, it really is kind of a proper sports car, this. And, you know, it's before all of the luxury that you get in modern M3s, and just, it's more of a GT car than newer ones. This one, you can really feel the car was built to go fast around a track, and that's basically it. Just taking off again. You know, it really does still move, and you got to consider how old this thing is. 1994, people, like, it's coming to almost 30 years old, this thing. Like, another couple of years, you're gonna be 30. And it's impressive. You know, again, to just see this early pioneer of making a real fun sports, track-orientated kind of sports car here, it really is awesome. And you can definitely tell what they were going for. They were ahead of the curve, because so many cars and manufacturers now have gone down this route. And in the early 90s, there just wasn't that much of this type of vehicle. So, you know, to be able to get in this thing and drive it today, it is a real treat. Now, if you guys are enjoying this type of content, please make sure you hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell notification so you do get updated on all my weekly uploads. And again, guys, this E36 M3, it's so rare to me. It's the first time I think I've actually seen one in the flesh, and I'm driving it today. So again, huge thanks to the owner, and for nearly 30 years old, this thing drives really well. Actually, the throttle response on this is quite good too. You know, when you try and heel toe this, you don't actually have to hit that pedal all that much to really get this thing to go up in the rev range. So it is really, you can tell, in the right hands on the right track, this would have been a huge contender back in the 90s for sure. Get on it again. Second pulls well. And again, I gotta say it again, for nearly 30 years old, that is super impressive to me. You know, it really does feel strong. For a 3-liter straight six here, you know, 210 kilowatts, this thing moves extremely well. Now, 0 to 100, guys, we are gonna test it. I think this is claimed something like 6 seconds, so we're gonna just reset the draggy. Look, it's an old car. I don't wanna put much hurt on it, so we'll just get it moving and see what it's gonna do. So here we go. We've reset the draggy, and here we go. Go, 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 go. 100, and we hit the brakes. That, I don't think we're gonna get better than that. Really, it felt like at the beginning we just struggled and held on for traction. And again, guys, the age of this thing, you know, the rarity, it's got a few Ks on her. I don't want to be the one to put it in the hospital. So let's have a look at that time. But just on the bum dyno here, it feels really quick for this type of vehicle. Now, 0 to 100, guys, was done in 7.1 seconds. And I know it's claimed at 6, but let's remember, we got the owner in the back. The car is pushing quite a few Ks. I believe we're at 270,000 Ks. So look, it's doing really well. And this thing, again, we're on a back road, guys. So for it to do 7.1, I think is really good. It feels fast. And yeah, this thing goes. Now, Now I'm going to finish the video off here today, guys. So look, a huge thanks to the owner for bringing down his E36 M3, because this has just been a real treat to see, experience, because these things are just getting so rare. Just a pioneer in this era of sports cars, and yeah, I love this thing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do hope you learned something. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you're new here, and we'll see you on that next video.